Okay. We're going old school. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Handmade by Ying with Donna. So tonight I have a special guest with me, but I want to. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Handmade by Ying.
Okay.
Okay, are we okay now?
Yeah.
Technical difficulties yet again tonight, guys, so hold tight. So, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Handmade by Ying with Donna. Today is Monday, May 23rd, 2022, and it's 7:00 p.m. Eastern Time. Tonight, my special guest is none other than Teresa Louise of Teresa Louise I Quilts2. So if everybody could give her a big heart or some thumbs up, and we're going to get ready to get this interview started. We've got a lot of questions for her, and I'm proud of each and every one of you who have emailed in. We've got quite the lineup tonight. I also wanted to touch base before we do kick off and thank everybody that did enter the contest, whether you watched it on the replay or however you did. But I was busy with my sister today and did not get a chance to get a little video out of the winners. So I'm going to plug that in real quick right now. So for our winners, the first one was Delona Gomes. Number 2 was Nancy Gus, G-U-S-S. Number 3 was Cindy Goody. Number 4 was Jessica Therese. Number 5 was Janet Johnson. Number 6 was Patty G. Number 7 was Felicia Ross. Number 8 was Marie Hahn. Number 9 was Sandra Kay. And number 10 was Craft a Simple Life. Thank everyone for participating in our little giveaway. I greatly appreciate it. All gifts and prizes and everything went out today. And the postman, let me tell you, they loved it. They thought it was just cute the way that everything was already ready to go. All I had to do was get them to weigh them, and out they went. So that was fun this time. Normally I have to stand there quite a bit when I'm sending stuff. So you ready, girl? Let's do this.
I'm ready. Yep, I'm ready.
First and foremost, I want to thank you to my channel and giving me the opportunity to interview you so that we can learn a little bit about you. One of the questions is, I always like to start with, can you give us a little bit of history about yourself? Example, hubby, life, dogs, kids, whatever, just the basics.
Okay. Well, first of all, let me say thank you for having me here tonight, Donna. I really appreciate it, and giving me this opportunity. And I've also have enjoyed all the other interviews that you've done. I think it's a lot of fun, and you get to know everybody a little bit more. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
I have a husband that, yep, I'm married to him.
Sorry.
It'll be 25 years next month that I've been married to him. And right now we have 2 dogs, a chocolate lab named Annie. Every once in a while she'll come up.
Is she the one that does the ghost door?
No, that's Willa.
Oh.
So Willa is a border collie, and yeah, she's with me. She's up here now. She follows me everywhere. So, but yeah, she does the ghost door thing. We live in northern Idaho, up in the mountains, and where it's still cold, and we got snow a couple of days ago.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we're supposed to hit 70 by Thursday, so I'm hopeful.
Our heat wave may be coming to you, because we just had 90-degree weather for a couple days. Now we're back to the cool weather. So
wow, we don't usually get 90 until August.
Yeah, we had an early hint.
So that's basically it, I guess.
Okay, I'm going to read the next question. What type of jobs have you done in your work history? And the question is, we feel you would be a great teacher. So dibs are, at some point in life, you were an instructor or a teacher. That's the way the question read.
Yes. I've taught most of my life, but not as a school teacher, just at different jobs that I've had. I've been in the restaurant business, And so I've done a lot of training and so forth, but I was also a network administrator for a while, and I worked in computers back in 95-ish, 95. And so I taught computer classes and among other things in there. But the last job I had was land management, where we managed the land for wildlife, and
Oh,
that was a lot of fun. That was a good job because you got to be
that,
outside.
see, that
So
would be so cool.
yeah, it was cool. It was a good job, and I worked a lot with water rights and stuff like that. And,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and yeah, I did go to college. I took accounting, so but I didn't enjoy working as a bookkeeper or accountant stuff. I like to be outside, or have that option. I don't want to just sit there all day pushing numbers. I like math, but not that much.
If you had to choose numbers or outside.
Yeah,
Outside.
yeah. So
How did you begin sewing, quilting, and then on to long arming?
Well, sewing, I started sewing when I was a little kid, sewed by hand, with my mom making doll clothes or Barbie doll clothes and clothes for my paper dolls, you know. Um, then of course in home ec, I took home ec, so I had sewing in there. So a little bit of garment sewing, not too much. I didn't really have the patience to put clothes together. So I didn't do too much of that. But then I would say, I think it was around 2014, 15, I started watching YouTube videos about quilting, and I did have quite a bit of fabric, not as much as I do now, but because I would make aprons and curtains and stuff like that. So I did have quite a bit of fabric, and I just thought, well, that looks like fun, and that'll give me something to do. And the first one I was really watching was Jenny Doan, and she was using all these pre-cuts. And I thought, well, that's a great idea. So I ordered all these pre-cuts, and started just putting baby quilts together.
Oh, cool.
Because that's a really great place to start out. They're nice and small. They're not real big. Or table runners, wall hangings, stuff like that. Start out with little projects that you don't get so overwhelmed with. Well, I wanted to make a quilt for my bed. And so before I even made it, I went to the local quilt store and asked them how much it would cost to have it quilted. And I gave them the measurements and all this stuff, just a basic all over, free motion, whatever. And but at that point, I really didn't know what all that stuff was.
Right.
Free motion and all that. And they told me, oh, it'd be about $150. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, I left. I'm like, I can't afford to
You
send
can't
my
afford
quilt.
this hobby.
Yeah, I can't afford that. And I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I better learn how to quilt it myself, even if I do straight line or, that kind of thing. But I've been an artist for a long time, my whole life. And so quilting is kind of like doodling, which I did quite a bit of that in school.
That's cool though. I wouldn't have put like that together, but then when you think about the doodling and the mid arming or long arming, you know what I'm saying? That all would come into play.
It's doodling really is what it is to me.
Yeah.
And so I already did a bunch of that. So I figured I could learn how to do free motion. So I started watching a bunch of those videos. And at the time I had one of those little Kenmore sewing machines, just a little small one. And you should have seen it, Donna. It was really funny. I could drop the feed dogs on it, but the inside was only, I had
Like
that much
7 inches
space.
probably.
Yeah, 6, 7 inches. And then I had this all these pieces of boards and stuff set up on it next to it so that I had a flat surface, you know. Boy, and it worked. I did a few quilts like that with that Kenmore, and I'm like, this isn't going to work, you know.
Exactly. But my first one was my Singer sewing machine. I had borrowed my granddaughter's back when I was doing mask making. And I liked it. My husband said, busy hands, you know what I'm saying? And it clears your mind through this pandemic and all that. And I told him, I said, I'm really liking this. He goes, well, let's go to the store and just price. And we're not buying one today. And he took me over, what was it, Joann's?
Yeah.
Joann's. And he picked my machine. I didn't know a thing about bells and whistles. All I knew was the machine I borrowed off my granddaughter itself threaded. That was the main thing. That was the selling point, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I got it home, fell in love with it. It has all these little heart stitches and you can type into the keypad of it. And I was like, I'm not going to use all that for quilting. I don't know what I was thinking. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So one night I saw the Baby Lock Jazz on one of their infomercials when you're up late and you're mindless sewing. So I asked him the next morning, I said, you're going to kill me, but this is going to be a beast. You know, I said, I don't ask for a whole lot. Can I have it? He goes, but I just got you. And I said, trust me, I need this. This isn't a once. So he blessed me with it. And the Singer's sitting over there, and I've probably poured it out one time since I've had this. Yeah. So you find what works for you, you know what I mean? But that one there, it had the extension table, and I did like you did. I watched the YouTube videos, and I built up around it, and it was gosh awful.
Yeah, it was.
Everything slid, no matter whatever we did.
Yeah, then I did a bunch of research on what I wanted, and I wanted a sewing machine. I'm like, what do I really need if I'm going to quilt or even just piece these quilts together? And that's what made me get the Brothers PQ 1500 SL, because it's just a straight stitch and it was in my price range. You know, that was the other thing, was price. And so I did go ahead and buy that, and that made a world of difference compared to the Kenmore.
Right.
I'm doing free motion quilting, and I had pulleys, you know, things on my table where I would have, you know, little
anything to take the weight off.
Yeah, to take the weight off the quilt. And the biggest one I did by hand was 102 by 102. It was a humongous quilt, and I had the tables pushed together, you know, so I would okay, so at that time I had started getting other people's quilts, friends here in the community, you know, and I'm like, if I'm going to keep doing this, I got to do something different, because my neck can't take all that.
No, that's too much pulling.
That's too much pulling. Well, one of the ladies in our sewing guild, she was getting rid of her frame, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I'll buy that. So I got a good deal on that frame, which it's a Bernina Grace frame. So I knew.
Yeah, okay.
And I did some research and found out that the Brother would fit on there, and I just needed the carriage, you know,
right,
that I could set the machine on. And so, in fact, she was selling the carriage with the table, so that worked.
That's a total score.
Yeah. So I did that for like a year. I had that Brothers on there, and I just grew out of that. And so my husband was like, let's find you something that's going to work for you, you know, if that's, and I'm like, great. So like, yeah,
you never say no.
And then that's when I got the Grace Unique long arm, and it makes a big difference. Very big difference. I'm not computerized at all. I bought the one that didn't come with the computer and all of the
bells and whistles.
Yeah, all the bells and whistles, but I can upgrade you know, if I ever want to, and someday I do want to get the computerized system. Because so right now I'm just still doing free motion, which is what I love to do.
Right.
Because to me, free motion is like another art.
It is.
It's just
It
another art.
absolutely is. Now, do you use a stitch regulator?
I can, my machine does do regulated or just manual,
Right.
but I like to use a stitch regulator.
Yeah, I think it helps. You know what I'm saying? I
get
learned.
beeped at. I get beeped at all the time, but
Yeah, but it helps. I'd rather have it than not have it.
yeah.
Hey
Exactly.
guys in the chat, I'm sorry I was very, very rude when we started. I was just super excited to get this party rolling. So I apologize for not coming in and telling everybody hello, hello. But Teresa Louise and I was doing some sidebar chatting before, and I just got overzealous. So with that being said, I want to thank you guys for all the love, all the hearts, all the thumbs up and everything. But I'm going to save some time and hop back into the interview, but know that we do both appreciate each and every one of you for joining. And should you have any comments or any questions you'd like to ask, please feel free, but you're going to have to go at Handmade by Ying or at one of my moderators so that I'll catch that so that we don't miss it. But we're going to go ahead and move forward because I have a lot of questions and they're not going to be any repeats from my other videos because evidently you people want to know about the famous Teresa Louise. So, we were talking about the stitch regulator.
Mhm.
Now, do you have a separate room for that or is it all in your studio that you have?
It's all in the same room, all in the same studio. Yep.
Oh, you can't beat that.
No.
Now, have you in any of your videos given a studio tour of yours? I'll have to go back and look at that. Not that I'm being nosy, but it helps me. I'm sure it not just helps me, but helps others to see how other ones are using smaller spaces or whatever that we wouldn't think of, or a larger space and say, oh, I could stretch this and move it here or whatever. We gain ideas and inspirations from each other.
I think it's one of the first videos I did was a sewing room tour. Mm-hmm. I have moved things around a little bit since then, but the space hasn't gotten bigger. So
okay. One of the questions is, what is your favorite part of quilting?
When the quilt is done and I can cuddle it.
I like all the process of it, but honestly, when I'm going around that, I call it third base of the binding, my heart starts pounding. I'm like, I'm almost there, you know?
Yeah. I would have to say designing my own pattern, and then with that is picking out the fabrics and, you know, figuring out how they're going to work with, you know, color wise and lights, darks, all that stuff. That's probably my favorite part. And then piecing it together to see how it, what you're thinking in your mind is actually going to be what you get.
Right. Now, do you ever take pictures of yours, like your colors, before you ever do it? Like your fabrics, lay them all out for high volume, low volume, and do it in black and white to see what's going to work?
Yeah, I do that all the time.
I just learned that from one of the other content creators. And I thought, boy, what a great idea. So now I'm doing that and I'm learning from what I thought my mind would work. The black and white tells the tale, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's a good tool to have.
Yeah, I honestly never would have done that.
And also, before you put your blocks together, you know, like what you have behind you, you could put those up there how you think they look, how they're going to look good, and then take a picture of it and look and see and do it in black and white, and you can, you know, really see the difference, what it looks like. You're like, oh wow, that block's a lot darker than I thought it was, and maybe it'll be better over here, you know.
Yeah, that's
So,
the coriander quilt sew along. So
yeah,
I always like anytime I'm doing someone's sew along, I wait until I get all the blocks done. And then Joe and we make a game of it because we never know what the finish line's going to be until they release how to put
right.
it together. So we spend an afternoon strategically placing what we think it's going to look like and snap a shot. And then when the pattern comes, we see who was closest.
Oh, that's a fun
So
game.
it's just something we do. But that's him putting his hand into what I'm doing, and I like it.
Yeah.
Um, let me see. Would you, I think you pretty well did this. Would you walk us through a project from start to finish on how you choose your patterns? If you design your own, how do you pick your colors? Just verbalize it. You don't got to like pick up your fabric or anything. But I think what they're saying is like when you're getting your mind set on, okay, I want to do another quilt. I'm going to do it for Henry Ford. And you have an idea of who, now you've got the who, now you got to figure out, okay, is this going to be a store-bought pattern, a freebie pattern, one you design? So how do you figure all this in when you're doing yours?
Okay.
It's a big mouthful. It's like
Yeah,
it's like a paragraph and a half, and I condensed it down.
there's a lot of questions in that sentence.
There is.
Um, well, the first thing I think about, if I'm flipping through a magazine, I'll just go with a magazine, and I see a pattern or a quilt that I like, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's really pretty. I'm like, I'll think, what do you really like about that? Is it the colors or the actual pattern? And so once I decide what it is I like about that, then that determines what direction I go. If it's just the fabric, then I usually don't do it, because I probably don't have that fabric,
Right.
and I don't want to go buy it. I
I
want to
like
use,
pulling from my stash.
yeah, I want to try to pull from my stash first. And so, and if it's the pattern, then um and it, 9 times out of 10 I usually pick a pattern that I also like the tone or colors of it also, not just the
Right.
pattern. And so then I'd pull fabrics trying to match what colors are in the pattern.
Right.
um or maybe I'll have a fat quarter bundle that's already designed for me,
Right.
or maybe a few. Like I have several fat quarter bundles that are only 5 fat quarters. And so I would pull those out. I'm going to need more than 5 fat quarters. So I will just keep going through my stash until I find other fabrics that go with it. Sometimes I might find them. I have 1-yard cuts, 2-yard cuts, and 5-yard cuts. So I might find that fabric in there, and then I'll just have to cut it down. But that's kind of how I get started. And then I do the same thing that we were just talking about. I take a photo of the fabrics that I just picked out,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of, I want to make sure I have equal amounts of light, medium, dark,
Right.
in those ranges. And I like to have at least 12 fat quarters, 12 to 20, in there. Might not use them all, but I have options. So I like to have options when I'm.
Yeah, when I'm doing, I do kind of like you. I just pull out what I think's going to look good. Then I'm starting the process of laying it down. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I, honest to goodness, just get it done quilts. I lost Karen Brown. That's who I saw doing it. I was looking at my phone because I keep notes on where I learned different things. And that's what I was doing. And it was Karen Brown who said, take a picture in black and white. And it's going to tell you you're positive, and
Right.
I'm so blessed to have learned that. And now knowing other ones do it too. I'm like, boy, she knows what she's doing. And let me
So
see.
did I hit
think
all
you
the
covered,
questions on
I think you did good.
that? Okay.
So I'm going to mark that one off. I don't even know. When did you learn you have back issues and how it changed your life, as well as the process, the projects to quilting? I just printed these. Don't kill the messenger.
When did I learn that I had back issues?
Yeah.
When I got in an accident, April of 2007.
Oh, I didn't even know you did. I thought it was just fibromyalgia.
No, I got all kinds of terrible stuff. I was in a ATV accident at work.
Sweetheart.
I was going with another employee to do some fence work, mending up some fences and stuff. And so my four-wheeler was loaded down pretty heavy, which I'm not, used to operating it. And plus I was on this great big monster machine and I wasn't used to that either. And we were going up a hill and my front tire hit a sagebrush.
Yeah.
And it flipped the machine over and, the machine went, flying up in the air. I jumped off really quick and I kind of ducked and rolled, tucked myself, and the machine came down and landed on my left hip, and it bounced off me. Thank God it was just the tire of the machine and not the toolbox or handlebars or any of the fencing tools I had on there. And so that's when I found out that I had back problems. So, and yeah, life flight came and all that stuff. And so it ruptured L4-5.
Oh, honey.
And then the sacrum is all of those are all messed up. And I have spinal fluid cysts in my, on my spine, in the sacrum area. And it cracked my pelvis. So I, fractured my pelvis on the left hand side, my hip. So I have a lot of problems with that hip. But so yeah. And when that happened, I had already been diagnosed with fibromyalgia back in 98, 99, around there. But I lived with it. I could live with it and work and do that, stuff. But that accident kind of threw me in a flare up. It
will.
And
that's traumatic.
Yeah, it was pretty traumatic. And then I had to have some surgeries, and those surgeries didn't help. And it just kind of spiraled, got worse and worse and worse and worse until 2012. I just had to quit work. My back couldn't take it anymore, and my fibromyalgia couldn't take it. It was just like, girl, you got to go lay down and don't get up. And that's pretty much what I did for like 4 months. I just stayed in bed, and that's when I started watching the YouTube videos.
Oh,
like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life now? I've worked my whole life.
Right.
I started babysitting when I was 11. And I had a real job at 14, and I worked every year since then. And so it was pretty difficult. It's
I can't imagine what you went through. I hurt for you with that.
I know there's a lot of people out there that goes through the same thing, like Kathy, she's dealing with having, her leg amputated, and how she has to learn how to who she is now.
It's like a rebirth. You have to figure it out.
Really, it is. It's because you got to come up with the new, who's you now? Who are you? You weren't, when you're used to working so many hours, you kind of become your job.
Right.
And so then you have to recreate yourself, because that's not you anymore.
Exactly. I totally get it. That's where we're at in our life. I took retirement with the COVID, and he's been retired. Joe's 75 now, babe? So he's been retired since 2003. So when he come home from work, it was like we had to learn each other all over again, because He was
there's
second
that
shift
too.
and I was daylight and cat eye. So it was like, oh, this is the man I
Yeah.
married. You know, we
Yeah,
had to relearn each other.
Yeah, I hear you there. My husband was already retired when I was still working. He's 72 and I just turned 60. So there's a little bit of an age difference there. So he retired first, and but once I had to retire, yeah, it's a little challenging, you
It
know.
is because, like, with Joe and I'm 57, and there's that age difference. And
Yeah,
he had the privilege of retiring early. You know what I'm saying? To where
yeah.
it was like we had to learn. Let me see. Patty G. Teresa, you're a warrior. I'm glad you made a good recovery and are an awesome artist. Stay strong, girl. That's from Patty G to you.
Oh, thanks, Patty.
Anytime you guys want me to see something, however you're doing that ad, please keep it up. That helps us. Let me see. Do you have any tips to share on stretching, moving, and so forth as we all sit for long periods of time to help with stiffness and other issues?
Well, I think kind of like for me, because of my back and the fibromyalgia, I would call it soft yoga. I'm not talking about downward dog, baby, you know,
Right.
those difficult ones, but I would say like really soft yoga stretches, you know, and be sure and get up. Like I try to remember when I'm live on Sunday to say, okay, everybody up, it's been an hour, let's stand up.
Right.
But in reality, when I'm sewing by myself, I'm up at least every 20 minutes or
Right.
more
Because you're hurting, probably.
because I'm hurting, and the more I sit there, you know, the more I hurt. Although
Absolutely.
I'm good now. I did all my stretches and stuff. And because of those cysts on my back, I think that is one of my biggest problems are those cysts. They fill up with spinal fluid.
Mhm.
And so throughout the day, that is putting pressure on that nerve, and also gives me a headache. And so there are special exercises or way that I'm supposed to lay down
Right.
that gets that spinal fluid moving again.
Right. Like I've
And
got
so,
arthritis in my spine and in my wrist and elbows. So I know when I'm sitting still for too long, it was killing me. So I had to set an alarm on my phone because when you're busy, you don't think about getting up.
right,
So
right.
it
Set a
reminds
timer.
me. Yep.
Set a timer. Yeah.
You've got another comment here from Kim. Teresa Louise, you are amazing. You're such a blessing and a wonderful teacher. You are loved.
Oh, thank you.
And then someone else Colleen, a chair like Teresa's ergonomic kneeling chair at Walmart. And she put the link in for anybody that needs that. Thank you, honey.
I like that chair. It makes me sit up straight.
What's it look like? I probably haven't seen it. Pieces Loving Quilting. She got this chair. Let me see. It was Courtney. And she was talking about it on hers. And at first I was like, it can't be that soft. So I watched a few more of her like a week or so in, and how she said it was a total game changer. It's got a vibrator here.
Oh, awesome.
And all you do is plug it into your, I call it a little outlet, plug it in so you don't have to use the battery.
Yeah.
And I keep it and it runs. And it just vibrates on my spine, so it doesn't hurt as bad.
Right. I also have one of those TENS units,
Ooh.
you know, that you put on. So if my back's bothering me that bad, I'll put that on and put it on low. And so, and
it's just
those
a
really
pulsating.
they keep your mind off of it. You know, it interrupts the pain signal. One of the worst things for me to do is to drive somewhere. And even though I love to go, so I bought one of those, it's a back massager and it heats up and you put it on your seat in the car.
Ooh.
and you plug it into the cigarette lighter thing or the 9-volt,
Yeah.
whatever. And oh God, it feels so good because it'll heat up and then you can put it on vibrate. And then you pretty much kind of forget about that your back is hurting so bad.
Right.
But the other
Absolutely.
thing is you really have to learn your own body. That's one thing, you know, I did a lot of research on fibromyalgia and what is the matter with me, you know? Isn't there something I can take that, you know?
I wanted something to make the pain go away.
Yeah, where's the magic pill, you know? And there's not. There's a variety of things that you can do, but everybody is different, and so try it out. Don't be afraid to try something new, like acupuncture. I was really afraid to try that because of the fibromyalgia, and the lady I went to, she had never treated anybody like that before. And I said, just start out slow. Don't put that needle in there very far because all our nerves are like on the outside.
Superficial.
You know? And so that's the other thing is just find somebody, a doctor or people that you can work with and have that conversation with them, you know. So
No.
I probably wore that one out.
No, you didn't. No, you've got 2 comments here. Teresa, I'm glad you didn't suggest belly dancing.
No.
And then Kelly Cruz and Craft and Quilts. I'm very glad to be a part of the YouTube quilting community. I just love getting to know everyone. So this is what it's all about, guys. So we can learn about each other, and it's extended family for kind of like one stitch at a time. I like that. What type of machines do you have had, or do you have, and do you have a special one that you like to use? I think you kind of already covered most.
Yeah, my first sewing machine was that little Kenmore. I don't know what kind it was or anything. I gave it to my sister. I'm hoping that she will start sewing. So I sent that over to her house, but I have the Brothers PQ 1500 SL, and then I have a Viking Topaz 50, and that has all the bells and whistles plus embroidery stuff on it. And then I have my mother-in-law's Bernina 910.
Oh,
It's a nice, really nice little machine. What else do I have? I have one of those old Sears featherweight, and I can't remember off.
I think those featherweights are so adorable.
They are so cute. I just got that last year from a friend of mine. And I keep it down at this where I sew. So I can't remember what featherweight it was, but anyway, it sews really nice. But mostly I use my brother's.
I would too. What type of long arm? I think you've already said that, didn't you?
Yeah,
it's long arm. And they want to know, do you do custom work? And I think you've already said you did.
I do custom work.
And how would the last of that is, how would one contact you if they wanted to have custom done by you? It would be through your link here, or do you have a different,
yeah, you just go through my, send me an email.
That works.
An email, and
the person that asked this one's in the chat. So if you would like custom work from Teresa Louise, please send her an email. If you don't have her email address, reach out to me at mine and I'll get it to you. I don't want a lot of people putting your private emails out there.
Yeah, don't put it in the
chat. I do not want it in the chat, okay? But mine, I can give you this. It's our business one, Donna at handmadebyying.com. If you would like to reach Teresa Louise, feel free to use my site. Just write in the memo box in the subject for Teresa Louise, and I'll just forward it straight along to her, and then she'll be in touch with you. And I'm imploring upon all of you please, please, please don't answer any contest questions. I will never ask for your information via in the chat, not your phone number, not your home address. I'll never do that. Neither will any of the other content creators. You need to be really smart about your information. Not saying that we're not, but sometimes we all do get a little bit excited if someone calls and says, hey, you won something. And then they type their information out and it's out there for everyone. And that's a good way to get hacked. Yeah. So it just happened. I believe it was on Stephanie Stitches. She had a little giveaway and people were out there saying they wanted their credit card information. She was going to charge them and all this other stuff. So she had to produce a video to explain that she is like every one of us. We're not going to ask for your personal information.
Right.
Like if I need it for either, like when I'm doing contests, that's why we did ours email only. You could email me that way. I could fill your envelope out right then. And we've already dumped the emails. So it's just a safety thing for you guys.
Right. Since my email address is on my YouTube description, I'm okay with Colleen putting that in the chat if she wants to, because that's
Colleen,
the email.
Go ahead and add that.
That's the email I use for my YouTube channel. So.
All right. You can go ahead and add that for her, please, Colleen. Okay. What is your favorite quilting pleasure?
Oh, what is my favorite quilting pleasure?
That's the way they worded it. What's your quilting pleasure? For me, it's peace of mind. I get all relaxed when I'm up here quilting. So I'm guessing that's kind of like what they're thinking.
Yeah, it distracts me, you know, from my body.
From life.
From life. I enjoy creating. So that's the other thing too. That's my
Absolutely. Pleasure. What is your favorite quilting tool that you use?
Well, the ones I use the most would be the, rotary cutter and rulers. I'm grateful for Jack.
We don't like him. I never thought
I'm gonna like him, you know.
I could show you this. It's funny now. But back in the day, I was so excited for this little fella. I was told that I was going to need, and I was like, I'll never need it. Picked it up at either Walmart or Joann's Fabric. Have you ever used one so much you dolled it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know they dolled. I thought, boy, we paid good money for this, but I don't want to throw it away now because it's a memory. It's so dull, I can't do anything. So it's just, that was my first. So then this one here, Alex Anderson, Stephanie Stitches told me about it. And I love it because it does everything all in one. And she's like, there's no guarantee on this part, but you can change them out. So I still have the tool. So I was like, and I was just like, that was a total game changer, knowing that my husband could pull that little tip out, put me a new one in, and I'll always have the tool. I had no clue they even made stuff like that. Do you have one item that you wish you had invented in quilting?
One item I wish I would have invented?
You're getting some good questions.
I guess, boy. Well, I wish I would have invented the rotary cutter.
Hey, man, we'd all be making some bank. You're going to like this one. What was your worst quilting disaster and were you able to fix it?
Yes. I was just had gotten that Brothers sewing machine to use as free motion. And I was trying to get a quilt done for my friend's husband who had cancer. And I wanted him to be able to take it to treatments, you know, have something to take with him and for chemo treatments and all that. And that darn thing, I would put it on there and start quilting and doing this and that. And I can't, I always quilt a little ways and then I look at the back. I don't quilt very far without looking in the back.
Right. Brenda, hold on one second. Brenda Foley, Colleen was asked by Teresa Louise to share that email address, but thank you for the good save on it. She's allowing that to go public right now.
Yeah,
right. The girls were a little bit confused, so they didn't want to, they were going to have someone pull it down.
Oh, yeah. Brenda, that email is already public in my YouTube description box, so it's okay. But thank you, hon.
Thank you guys for watching out for everybody. So go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I could see
that's okay.
Back and forth.
Yeah, it's okay. I appreciate her trying to protect me.
Absolutely.
Anyway, I kept getting these, bird's nest in the back. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And anyway, I'll just make this really short. They had, when you get a new machine, there's a needle stuck up in there already.
Yeah.
Always, always, always make sure that that bolt is tight and that needle is stuck up there all the way, okay? Because mine was loose on a different project, not this quilt, but on something else. And I actually broke the needle. And when that happened, that needle hit the case, that
the kick plate
that goes into the bobbin.
Yeah.
Sits in, that cover. Okay. And so and I didn't know it. And every time my thread would go around that, it hit that little spur. And so it would pull the thread. And that's why I kept getting that. And so I had to take a little piece of sandpaper, and take that burr off.
Yeah, I never knew that could happen with our needle breaks. And my thread was breaking and it was just driving me crazy. I didn't know what was wrong because I had just had a needle break. So I was watching a bunch of videos and I was typing in anything like my needle broke, now my thread's breaking. And I was typing in any catchphrases. And Tiffany of Tiffany's Quilting Life come on. And she literally had a metal emery board.
Yeah.
And she fixed it herself with the metal one. And I was like, I'm going to check and see if I have that. And by gosh, I did. I sent her a picture of it. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't know what was wrong.
Yeah.
So that's a good tip. I didn't want to put it in the shop.
It took me like 3 or 4 days to figure out what was wrong with that. But so I had to, I had to pick out all that bad stitching. And so that's how I ended up fixing it. So.
Yeah, I didn't ever, without listening to you all, we already asked about the quilting disaster. Is there anything that you would like to achieve in the world of quilting that you have not done already?
I would like to win a ribbon at a quilt show.
That would be awesome. I'm entering, but I'm not. I'm doing it more for the critiquing so I can learn what I need. Anything else is the added bonus.
I would want to, I'd like to win one on one of my art quilts, that's.
Absolutely. Let me see, making sure I'm not missing anything. Okay. If you watch someone else quilt, I'm going to go ahead now and use this as an opportunity to segue into what I see over your left shoulder. So I'm seeing this beautiful dog. Is that what I hear about collage designs?
Yes.
Can you explain anything on that? I've got a couple questions here and I'm going to read them to you because I've never heard of it.
Okay.
So, you've got 7 little questions here. You can just sum it up however you want.
Okay.
Are you a linear or circular? Do you prefer white space or filled space? Do you like colors or neutrals? Do you prefer soft or hard edges? Do you like things to match, or are you unconventional and put things together? And is your project a decorative or functional? Now, what any of that means, I have no clue. And then it goes on to the second part of, do you place steam a seam 2 on your work surface, sticky side up? Do you pull scraps from your stash? And then the list goes on, but I'm just going to cut to the chase on the questions. Can you walk me through that beautiful project of yours? Can you tell me about it?
Yes, I can. No, that was a lot of questions.
Yeah, it's a mouthful. You've got a whole page.
So collage quilting, for me, I like to draw, paint animals. And so that love of doing that has brought me into creating my art with fabric. There are a lot of ways to accomplish that, and there's a lot of different ways to collage quilt. Some people, will cut everything up into little teeny pieces, and then you just, put them on there. I don't do that. But so like this one, what I'm working on.
Can you turn it more this way?
Yeah.
That way everybody can see it. Can you guys see it good? Give me a thumbs up.
I'll just move you over there.
That is gorgeous.
So this is Cookie. And I think if you're subscribed to me at all, you've been around long enough to know about Cookie.
Yes.
And she's actually my first collage quilt. And I think I'm trying to be a little more meticulous than I need to be. I need to lighten up and just start, get it finished. So you can see the kind of pieces I cut. I cut all different kinds of sizes. And I try them. And I use mostly batik fabric, because with batik fabric, you get a lot of colors.
Okay.
And you get a lot of shading. Like this is one piece of fabric right here.
Really?
But look at it, all the shading I have in it. All this dark, and then I have this light over here. And this is a picture of Cookie up here. So you can see she had a lot of white.
Right.
In there. And so I just trying to find a piece of fabric in my batiks that is pretty similar to that look there, which this does it for me,
See, this is fascinating to me.
And once I put the piece of fabric down, then I will just use pins, and I'll pin it there for a while and make sure that's what I'm going to want. I do not use any type of seam and steam and seam stuff on my fabric. I know there are creators out there that do that, but I don't do that because I never know in the fat quarter where I'm going to cut, and I don't want to use all of that seam and steam on one big piece of fat quarter. You know what I mean?
Right.
So what I use is some tacky glue.
Oh, okay.
I use tacky glue, or you could use Elmer's clear glue is good. So when I'm ready to tack something down, I just pull it back. I'll pull it back, the fabric, and just put a little bit of glue on there and then glue it down. And so mostly it's the edges,
right,
that have the glue. Now the plan is,
now the white there, is that muslin?
This here?
No,
or this white?
The backing. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That is all. I guess I should have told you that.
That's
so
okay.
My backing is muslin. That's what I prefer to work on. And I'm just using like a off-white cream colored muslin because that's what I had.
Honey, it looks gorgeous.
So what I do, thank you. I'm going to move everybody. I'm moving. What I do is I take different photos
Oh,
of my dog, and I do them in black and white. So I have different shots. Take a bunch of pictures. Like here's a
this
black
just
and white.
blows me out of the water.
And then you can use a light board, but I don't have one of those. So I just tape this up on my patio door there so that the sun shines through it.
Right.
And then I put the piece of muslin over this. And then I just took a pencil, pen, doesn't matter because you're going to cover it up anyway.
Some kind of outline.
And then I just sketched over it, the muslin.
Wow.
So I have all the sketching on the piece of muslin. And then I also want to make sure I know where the really dark areas are. And so I'll sketch that in.
That is unbelievable. You've got a message here. It says, Teresa, I see Grover hanging out with you. Is he your art critic?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You know, I have had that little Grover with me for almost every job since I don't know how long. I've had him for a long time. And he used to hang up on my computer at work, you know.
Oh,
So, yeah, that's Grover.
that's
So
horrible.
that's kind of basically what I do. Do you have any
What's
questions?
what's the full process of it? Like, you've started with your muslin, you've done your tracing, you're meticulously putting your pieces together. So once that's done, you've tacky glued it in place. Once you're happy with the placement, then what do you do from there?
So picking fabric, let me tell you, is basically kind of like what you would do for a quilt. You look at the pattern. This is my pattern, right?
Right.
And I try to pick out colors. I'm a realist. I'm not really good at throwing in pinks and purples. You know, I keep wanting her to look
It's natural.
like a brown dog, you know.
Right.
And so so once I picked them out and I have them all over spread out here, and again, you can take photos of it so you can see what your darks and lights are, but I don't think that's near as important in this process as it is in quilting. So once that is done and I have all these pieces up and I'm happy with it and they're all glued down, and then I will thread paint. I'll go back over it.
What's thread paint? I've never heard of it.
I'm
going to be going back into your videos and watching, but this is fascinating.
It's where you, like I will match up my thread to, let's say I'll put brown in, a light brown, and then it's like free motion quilting.
Oh,
I'll do little stippling or whatever, you know, to tack all this down. Before I do the thread painting, in some areas, I might use that tool, the fabric tool it's called. It's a
not a clue.
It's a netting. Let me get a piece out. It's like like on a ballerina.
Yeah.
You know, okay, this is tulle.
I had no idea. Okay.
And so I might, if I want to lighten something up a little bit more, and also this will hold all those pieces down, I might just put a whole piece of tulle over the top of that, so everything is held down. And then sew thread paint.
Now, Delia said, will that be a wall hanging?
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you what, that is gorgeous.
Thank you.
I've honestly never saw anything like it. You'll have to send me a
Look up,
picture.
I will look up Susan Carlson.
Hold on.
She has some awesome videos out there. And then Emily Taylor also, the Collage quilter. And she does, she teaches quite a bit.
I
And
think what you're doing right there, I'm going to hop into your videos after I get some of these sidebar projects done and just watch. I know at this stage in my game, I'm not able to do something so beautiful, but I want to watch how you've done that. That is just remarkable.
thank you.
It just
Thanks,
blows me
everybody.
away. Does anyone else have anything on that? You're going to like this one. Describe an experience creating a functional or a decorative object by hand using whatever method or material you did. I kind of like, I don't know if they're talking about like what you made yesterday. I'm saying last night for me, but what was that? A pin cushion. I'm guessing that's what they're talking about.
Could you repeat that?
Describe your experience of creating the functional or decorative object that you did yesterday using whatever variety of methods and material. I would refer back to the video because I think you walked through it pretty well.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, if you're talking about the chicken pin cushion, then you could go back and watch the video from the beginning.
I would say she's not being rude there, but she went into graphic detail. And if I was home, I would have been taking notes on that one. I am going to go back myself and watch it as well. What is the most challenging part for you of selecting the materials used? Is it your texture or the colors?
Honestly, I don't feel like I have that much of a problem picking colors.
No, you're pretty good. Everything I've seen you do, it's like they come together really good.
So
do you have a plan of how you organize and prioritize your work? And then how do you organize your studio? So it's a 3-question for this person. I'm trying to get them all in. So if I go over your time, let me know. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Okay.
Yes, I have project boxes. And so when I'm ready to do a project, I'll get the big box out. It's nice and deep project box because it's going to have to hold a lot of fabric and all that stuff. And my process is I put the pattern and all the fabric in there. And then when I'm ready to start, I get all my fabric cut. I usually cut the whole pattern, just get it done and out of the way. Because I think that's my least favorite part of the quilting process.
Now, do you starch yours before or as you're making your blocks?
I starch all my fabric before I cut.
Yeah, I do
and then
too.
After that, I don't use starch at all or steam.
Yeah, I find my cutting is a lot better when I've starched everything.
Yeah, I think even if you don't want to use starch, you got to at least iron it.
Yeah,
before you cut it. So then when I'm ready to work on that project, I can just go get that project out of the closet. It goes into the closet on a shelf. You can
pull your bin right out and your project's ready.
And I'm ready to go. Yeah. Now, if I'm going to keep working on it for a few days, I'll leave it on the table over there where I usually am. And so that it's just ready. But if I'm done working on it. I usually like get kind of bored after 2 or 3 days with it, and I put them away and get something else out. And so I have like
Yeah.
3 rotating projects that I'm doing like that. And then as soon as one project is completely done, then I can take one of those bins, you know, the tote that, and put a new project in it. Maybe it's not cut yet or anything like that, but then I put it in line. So it's next, you know.
Right. It's
Just
getting on your
next.
plate.
Yeah. So I have different size bins, and depending on where they are in the process determines what bin it goes in. So I guess that's one way I organize. This room is pretty big. It was the master bedroom for the house, so it's pretty big. So over there where I usually am when I'm filming, you know, I have this great big cutting table.
Right.
And that's where the sewing machine is, and the design wall and all that. Then I have the long arm is behind here,
Oh, okay.
and I have fabric on that wall behind the long arm.
Now, do you
And
have your fabric on those comic boards, or is it just, I'm trying to see. How do you
I
store your
actually,
fabric?
if it's more than a yard, then I put it on a piece of cardboard. I didn't buy the comic boards, but it's basically the same type of system, but I just use cardboard. And otherwise it just gets folded and put on the shelf. So I have like all the fat quarters on the top shelf, and then it goes to down to 1 yard, and then 2 yards, and then more yards. You know, just
Okay, you have a question in the chat from Patty G. Teresa, do you use Terrical Magic for collage work?
no.
No, she does not, Patty. But
I don't
thank
even
you.
not sure what that even is. I use tacky glue. I don't know. Is that a glue?
Yeah, I think it is.
No.
I'm not sure. How many patterns would you say you've wrote, and what's been your favorite?
Um, do you guys remember the quilt I did for raffle quilt was it the year before last? It had the big cougar panel in the middle of it, and then it had delectable mountains
I think so,
around
yeah.
it. I think that is probably so far my favorite one that I've designed and made and quilted.
Then I'm going into your panels now.
Okay.
Okay. When you select a panel for your design for your quilts, do you do all of yours with the border out method is what they're asking? Or how do you always choose how you're going to build out your panel? I'm not good at panels, so I don't understand it.
Not sure I
I
understand
love
the
to
question.
watch. I think what they're talking about is the last one because it says prior quilt. So I'm assuming, and you know what that means. You had a panel and then you were doing strips and then you were doing something. I didn't get to watch the whole thing at the time. My sister was in the hospital, but it doesn't give me a lot of information. So I guess they're talking about the way you build it around and made it grow is what I'm getting. But I may be wrong. If that's not right, she's not in the chat. So I don't know.
Well, on that project, that was the Aurora panel, and it was the Northern Lights. And I just took it because I wanted to show everybody, just grab your panel and do something with it. And so I'm like, let's just take a jelly roll and go around it, kind of like you're doing a log cabin.
Okay.
But it's not quite like a log cabin, but you know, you kind of get the idea there.
Now I do. That magic is a stiffener and helps with bias fabric. I'm trying to, it's too far away. It stays there like till you wash it.
Oh, no.
So I have not a clue. But
No.
thank you for asking. And she said, nope.
And I don't starch any of my fabric that I'm using on the collage quilt.
Yeah, I probably would be like you. I'm trying to, have you ever been tested to the max with a project?
That one that I designed with the cougar in the Delectable Mountains, those Delectable Mountains killed me. When you know, it's not as easy coming up with a pattern as you think.
I'm learning that.
You know, and I don't have EQ8 or any of those, you know, one of these days.
I'm going old school. I'm writing my first pattern for a beach bag, but I'm putting everything into this project that I want in my own that I can't buy. So it's making it a little bit challenging, but I don't use all those. You know what I'm saying? This is, I'm going old school. So it's right now it's like 8 pages long, but I got to condense it down. As I'm walking through it, I'm writing notes.
Exactly.
So it's building as I go.
Also, I do a test block or test piece and make sure it coming out the way, you know, the right size. So that's helpful too. But and I use grid paper when I'm designing something, and then I assign that grid a number. Either they're going to be 2.5-inch squares or 2-inch or whatever, but you got to be consistent.
Exactly, all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't go, okay, it was 4 inches, now it's 10 inches. You know, you can't do that.
No, I laid everything out when I was starting mine, and I'm going, okay, this is what I want it to look like. Now, how do I make this happen? So I'm going, I started with my straps and I'm working my way down. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And the other thing is,
and I'm calculating my measurements on one page so I can tell them, okay, you need a yard of this or half a yard of that. It's going to be down 2, and then I'm going to give them a couple extra inches to play with, you know?
Right. And the other thing is it, are your inches finished or unfinished?
Yeah, it's going to be finished. Yeah, finished.
You got to stay consistent. Consistent that way too.
Yeah, and I want them to do, like, so far everything's at the true 1/4 inch, not the scant. You know, they got to do. So I'm learning, but I've got a couple more weeks to work this project, and it's a challenge with Sean and I. We got this beautiful panel from Soya Brothers. So we've been challenged to make something with it. So we both said, well, let's, bright ideas, let's design beach bags, because the fabric panel, I don't know if you've seen it. So we're each designing our own. So I can show you real quick. I'm going to do a matching wallet with mine after I get this done. Let's see, this one. But this is the panel. So we each have to write our own pattern, and then it has to be dropped in the description box.
Oh.
So we're doing beach bags.
Crazy birds.
Yep, crazy birds. And I'm going to the beach the following week. So I was like, I'm going to make sure that this can serve all the functions that I need while I'm there. Because I'll be attending meetings and So I was like, I'm up for this challenge. Everybody bring your fabric. This is going to be good. And he thinks that we can get it done, he said, in about an hour, hour and a half. I think it's going to take a little bit longer than that. But I'm going to post my fabric requirements, and he's going to do his. It's going to feed out of my page, and we're going to run it from there and just see how it goes. And I think we can get it done, or we'll just go a little bit longer. But that's just a fun project. One more question. Where do you see yourself pertaining to your craft in 5 years?
Well, I think I'd like to continue to improve on the collage quilting and have it be an easier process than it is right now. And I think if the more I do them, the you know, easier it will get.
Oh, absolutely.
So I really want to get back into like just doing the art, and maybe having a few quilts here and there, you know. But,
That to me, you just blew me out of the water. I mean, I'm sure other ones have seen you doing this a bit. You know what I'm saying? But that is just remarkable. My husband's even in the background going, wow. You know what I'm saying? That is just gorgeous. We've never heard of it. So
I rearranged my area over here so that I can, I have a table over here now, right behind me,
oh, okay.
going this way, you know. So I'm kind of like have a little square, kind of
Right.
like, so I can get my paints out and my other art stuff. And
You're a jack of all trades. We haven't even begun to touch on everything, you know.
Well, that's what I need to quit doing so many things, is I like to wood burn, you know, I like to paint, I like to bead, I like to do my collage quilts, I like to do my sewing, piecing, making quilts, making bags, making, you know.
Right. I mean, it's beautiful. Your work never ceases to amaze me. I mean, it's stunning. I go back and watch other ones of yours, but I missed this one. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to have to go back. Now, do you have those all in a video lineup to where they'll be easier to find?
Yeah, this is in a playlist.
A playlist. Okay. I've got to find that. That's so pretty. I can assure you I'll never make one, but I want to watch the process. That's cool.
Well, the process, you might get a little bored. Put it on at night where you can go to sleep and just watch, because I'm just trying to figure it out, you know.
Right. But to go from scratch on it with your own design, I think that's amazing. That is mind-blowing. You have one more question here. Let me see if I can find it.
What I mean by art quilts. Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I couldn't find it. I was looking up further.
Is this the collage quilt? I call it a, you know, it's an art quilt. To me, you know, that's what I meant by that.
Right. Does anyone else have any more questions tonight?
And of course I do cross stitch. I'm doing a hexie quilt by hand.
Oh, my woman.
Too. So I like to try different things, you know.
Right. You probably get bored at one area and then just keep jumping to keep your mind stimulated.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I'm at home at night and I'm just sitting still, I'm jittery. My mind's going, okay, I got to do something.
Yeah. I don't do well at sitting still.
No.
Meaning I like to have something going all the time. So even if I'm downstairs at the couch, I have my cross stitch or I have my hand sewing right there, so I can just pull it out.
Right.
And do something, you know.
I think it's soothing to have something to work on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
It is art. I want a ticket to your first art show. Oh, that's so sweet, you guys.
Thanks, Patty.
You guys are amazing. All right, guys, I'm going to give a little reminders here real quick, and then we're going to end out. On the 30th for Memorial Day, I'll be uploading a pre-recorded video of me finishing my pride quilt under Stephanie Stitches. Then the next time I come back for an interview, it'll be with Beth of Goody Goods. So that'll be on Monday the 6th. Tiffany of Tiffany's Quilting Life will be on the 13th. A pre-recorded of Colleen on a moderator's point of view for June 20th. And then Kathy's Cute Creations on the 27th. And I'm going to bring in, you guys are going to be mind blown when you see what we've come up with for this one. But it's going to, this is an interview, the first segment with her, and then we're going to segue into Stephanie Stitches, myself, and Kathy. We're going to be breaking ground with something we don't think's been done before. So I don't want to give out too much information, but that's going to be a fun one. So
Yeah.
from, I want to say the first hour of the interview, or about 45 minutes, is going to be about Kathy and her journey in quilting. And then I believe at 7:30, we're going to bring Stephanie Stitches into the chat as well, but we're going to bring her on screen. And then I come up with this brainstorm, and they're all on board with me. So we're going to release this project. So I think everybody's going to have a fun time with it. You need to be there that night in order to participate in what we're going to release. But I'm telling you, you won't be disappointed.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun.
It's going to be a fun, calling it the traveling, but I don't want to release the whole thing. Patty G, these are for interviews. It's really great learning about women. Thanks. I love doing interviews, Patty. I'm learning so much. I love it that my email for the business is out there because y'all are filling my box. So that's why I'm going ahead and giving you the names. So in the subject line, as an example, like what we did for Teresa Louise, you guys are writing TLIQ2, and I know right away that's for her. So I just copy and paste those questions and I build my list. There's no rhyme or reason to the order, but this is a fun way of getting to know each other. We all quilt different. It's a journey and it's one to be shared. And I learned from all of yous as well as the other YouTube content creators. And I stand by my beliefs. Together we grow, together we sew, and we do it all one stitch at a time from beginning to end. So with that being said, y'all have a fabulous night. Teresa, thank you. Thank you for coming on with me tonight. It's been a blast. Thank you for being one of my moderators as well.
Thank you, Donna.
I can't say enough. It's been a blessing, and I'll be following you as well back on your channel.
And thank you too, Joe.
He's giving you the wave behind the scenes he's my tech guy, and everybody knows that it takes both of us to make our channel happen. I'm not the tech savvy and he's not the material one. So you guys go ahead and say your goodbyes, and I'll give you about 15-20 seconds and we'll hop off here. Remember, at the end of the day, share the love. That's what it's all about. Good night, guys. Teresa Louise, I'll see you on the next one, sweetheart.
You betcha. Thank you.
Bye.